Hey everyone, welcome to day 24 of our HTML and CSS series. Today we'll be creating a beautiful glass progress dashboard, a modern progress tracker that shows your learning progress in HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and React. Let's start by setting up the basic HTML structure. First, we begin with our standard HTML setup. The exclamation mark doctype HTML declares our document type. Now, inside the body, we start with a main container called dashboard. This div will hold all our progress bars and titles. Inside it, we add another div with the class name title and the text Learning Progress Dashboard. Next, we create our first progress section. This one is for HTML. We wrap everything in a div with the class Progress Group HTML. Inside that, we add a progress label div that contains two spans, one for the skill name HTML and the second showing 90% progress. Then we create a track div that holds the actual progress bar using the progress tag, setting the value to 90 and the max to 100. Finally, we add another div below it that displays the percentage text 90% beside the bar. This setup gives us a clear, simple layout that we'll later style with CSS to get that clean glass effect. For the next section, we simply duplicate the HTML group and change the details for CSS. Here, the skill name is CSS, and the progress is set to 80%. Next, we duplicate again for JavaScript. The class name is JS, and we set the progress value to 65%. Using unique And finally, we add our last progress group for React. Here, the value is set to 50%, a great way to show current progress in that area. First, we're styling the body. We're giving it a beautiful gradient background, moving from a deep navy blue to a slightly lighter tone. That's the linear gradient you see here. Then, we set the height to cover the full screen and use Flexbox to center our dashboard both vertically and horizontally. We also added a modern font, Poppins, and a soft text color to make the content easy to read. Next, we have our .dashboard class. This section creates the glass effect for the entire dashboard. We're adding padding, rounded corners, and a subtle transparent gradient for that frosted glass look. The box shadow adds depth, while the backdrop filter blur makes the background softly blend through. This is what gives it that elegant, glassy appearance. Now let's style the title of our dashboard. We center the text using Text-Align Center. Make it bold with a font weight of 700, and increase the size to 1.5 rem for better visibility. The color number 5 EEAD4 gives it that glowing teal look, and we add some space at the bottom with a 24-pixel margin. Finally, a little letter spacing of 0.5 pixels makes the text stand out, clean, and modern. Each progress group gets a 26-pixel margin at the bottom to keep nice spacing between the bars and make the layout look clean. In this part, I'm styling the progress label. This is the section that holds the text for each skill name and its percentage. I'm using Display Flex to place them on the same line and justify content set to space between so one stays on the left and the other on the right. Align Items Center makes sure they line up neatly. I'm giving the text a font weight of 600 for a bold look and a font size of 0.95 rem. Finally, I added a soft mint color and a small 6-pixel margin at the bottom to create space before the progress bar. Now let's style the progress element itself. I set the width to 100% so it stretches fully across its container, and a height of 18 pixels to give it a clean, slim look. The appearance is set to none to remove the browser's default styling, and borders set to none for a smoother edge. I rounded the corners with a 12-pixel border radius, added a custom background using the track variable, and used overflow hidden so the progress fill stays neatly inside the rounded shape. For the HTML progress bar, I used a warm gradient that flows from deep orange to soft peach. This creates a smooth left-to-right color transition, making the progress bar feel more dynamic and visually engaging. For the CSS progress bar, I added a cool blue gradient that shifts from bright cyan to sky blue. This gives it a clean, modern look that perfectly matches the theme of coding and design. For the JavaScript bar, I used a warm yellow gradient, moving from golden to soft yellow. It gives that energetic, creative vibe that perfectly represents JavaScript. I also added Firefox support so the progress bars display beautifully across all browsers. Next, let's style the percentage text that appears on top of each progress bar. We're using the .% class to perfectly center this element inside the progress track. First, position, absolute, combined with left 50% and top 50%, places the element right in the middle. Then, transform, translate, negative 50%. Negative 50% shifts it back by half its width and height, giving us a perfect center alignment both horizontally and vertically. We set the font weight to 700 and the color to a dark teal, number 041921, so it's readable against the light background. The font size is set to 0.9 rem, keeping it compact but noticeable. Next, we apply a soft white gradient background using linear gradient 90 degrees. And that's it for today's project. Our glass progress dashboard is complete. We used simple HTML and CSS to create a clean, modern interface that tracks your learning progress in style. If you enjoyed this tutorial, don't forget to like, save, and follow for more HTML and CSS projects in action.